Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Founders Ark. We are now at episode 4, and this is our Lost Ark podcast. The good thing is, I am, as always, not alone because I have Mr. Beaver with me. Hello, Mr. Ruiner of Podcasts. How are you doing?
Yeah, good at that.
Yeah, we've seen that. Well, you haven't because you ruined the my start thingy. I'm very upset about that. He said something. He talked to me. Can you believe that, Chad? He talked to me.
Someone actually talking to another person. Ah!
I'm an introvert. You cannot do that. Like that is yeah, don't do that. Don't talk to me. How are you doing, Beaver? How was your Sunday going?
It's going, typical fun stuff,
That sounds not fun at all, to be honest. It's every
Nah.
time people are saying like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Okay. I don't know. In my mind, it always sounds like, "Yeah, okay, I guess. I actually thought 3 times jumping out of the window or in front of a car. Really, my life sucks and is living hell on earth, But I guess it's okay. It's okay." That's always what I hear when somebody says I'm doing okay, instead of what people actually mean with, "Yeah, I'm doing actually okay, I'm still breathing and it's good. It's
Yeah.
good." And hello to everyone in chat. Welcome in, folks. What you're seeing here, by the way, is me. Well, this is a recording. This was from yesterday. Yeah, this was from yesterday. Me climbing the PvP ladder, or at least trying to. We will talk about that in a minute. It didn't go too well, but welcome back. Welcome back. Also, good news. We are now also on daylight saving times here in Europe. Finally,
Woohoo!
after 2 weeks, we finally caught up with the rest, and I'm still hoping it's the last time we are doing it.
I know we had that discussion. It was hilarious. We had that discussion about like how Europe tried to do it for a little bit and went back. US just passed it through the Senate. It's got to make its way through the House, and president has to sign off on it. But it's on the floor right now to never have to deal with it again in the US. So
Yeah, I'm really hoping now that the US is actually taking the step, that the rest of Europe is like, I mean, if the US is doing it, we wanted to do it for years now, but we never really pushed for it. Come on, let's just do it. Like,
Yeah.
normally that's how it works. It's like, okay, you were doing it. We wanted to do it for years. Yeah, sure. Why are we not doing it? Right? So, I hope it works. But what also worked is Lost Ark. We have a lot of topics to actually cover today. So, I would say we are going right to it. How is your Lost Ark adventure going? Let me ask you first. How was the Lost Ark going?
It's going. It's starting to slow up a bit. We did hit T5. T5. Sorry, T3. I'm like watching these bots roll in here. It's funny. We hit T3 literally that day that we mentioned because it was crazy, and it definitely slows down a bit to where I'm working on some alts. And I will say that even with the nerfs, to the T1 raids, the T2 raids, I don't understand how people are still struggling. I tried doing the Flame Fox 3 times today with 3 random groups, not even probably 30% health, and they've used all the deaths already.
Yeah. I have to admit, I don't know what it is, but so I have finally also reached tier 3 yesterday. Yay. Took me long enough. Now I actually have to do it with the class I want to reach it because, well, it's none of my classes really I want to play because all of those are not released yet in the West. Yay. However, I did a lot of the end tier 2 bosses, the Guardian raids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, they are so easy. What is that? Like especially the last one. What's the name? Asbestos.
Oh, that Alberhastic guy.
Aberhasty or something.
His move set is very interesting, but once you understand it, he's not a hard boss. Honestly, none of these bosses are hard once you learn their mechanics. That's all it is.
I have to admit, I don't even know what the mechanics is of the last dude. I have no clue. I did it twice yesterday, and my team was just melting through that guy. I don't even know what we did. And then the one which is before the tree guy, like he can literally do nothing besides of, hey, I'm summoning a tree. In the meantime, I'm invincible. Please destroy the tree, and then back to business. Like there is nothing going on.
Yep.
I have to say that like the tier 2, the first half of the tier 2 was tougher.
I would say I would agree with the raid level 3 part of it being a little bit tougher than raid level 4.
Yeah.
The thing that made raid level 4 tough was definitely if you didn't have a team that could burn Alber properly, then yes, because the thing with Alber, and this is probably why you didn't see a lot of it, is all hidden. It's all hidden mechanics basically. Like when you're supposed to actually stagger him, you're not actually going to see a stagger bar. It's hidden.
Yeah.
He like glows like an internal blue, so your team could have been staggering him beforehand, which was part of the mechanic. So it's definitely I feel we'll put it this way. I feel like the tier 1 and the tier 1 raids and the tier 1 raids, in my opinion, were probably still one of the harder ones.
Yes,
because a lot of people still can't. Well, it really comes down to just understanding the mechanics. They're easy mechanics, but it seems like people are kind of just rolling into the T1s than just wanting to hit things.
Yes, like I'm bad with names, you know me. We had that discussion multiple times. The last one in the tier 1, the lion with the sandstorm.
The whirlwinds, yep.
Yeah.
Talos, yep.
Yeah, like that is like a boss where you literally have, well, it's not a one-shot mechanic anymore, but pretty much a all-death mechanic still. Like people still don't get that. It's like the only thing you have to look out for, but it's tough enough for most people to get confused and give up on it at some point. It's just interesting to see that the tier 1s had basically more dangerous mechanics, let's call it that, than like the end of the tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. I'm very curious to see. Have you done any of the tier 3 Guardian raids yet?
I have done the first one, and in my opinion, I just hit 1340, so I could do the second one, but I haven't touched it yet. But yeah, I've done the armored scorpion. Honestly, that guy is super easy. The only real mechanic he has that you have to make sure you're on top of is just like kind of like the other scorpion. He goes under the ground, but when he goes under the ground, he spawns scorpions up. If those scorpions aren't killed quick enough. Whoa. They end up having electric AoE all around them, and they wipe everyone, basically.
Right. Whoa, what was that? Like something sound was cracking for a second on my end.
Ooh.
Yeah, you were like super cracking, whatever that was.
Maybe I had some upload issues.
Discord. Sometimes Discord, like I have to say, we are using Discord. I know some people might say, what? For a podcast? Yeah, I know. It's not the smartest choice. But yeah. Let's hope it stays the way. But yeah, it's like, okay, so it seems like they are reusing like some of the older bosses just like that. It reminds me of, what is his name? Chromarium? Like they have the magma Chromarium then, and it's basically the same as Chromarium, like
just with like newer mechanics or like added to the mechanics. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. So yeah, I'm still like in the questing phase. I just started to quest yesterday in tier 3. No clue how long it would take me, probably 4 to 5 hours as per usual. And then I will finally go into tier 3. And I'm curious to see how it goes with my gun lancer. I looked at my equipment yesterday. It's a mess. I didn't for tier 2. I barely cared for anything. I didn't try to get like the perfect rolls on my items. My gems are all like level 4, level 3. Like I didn't barely do anything to upgrade my gems because it's just not needed. It's really just not needed. And then you're losing everything with tier 3 anyways, right?
Yep.
So
if you're lucky, or you could be like me and get to T3 for 3 days and run your chaos dungeons 3 days in a row and still not get your fucking weapon.
How do you what?
Yep. I had and by the way, 2 of those days were fully rested for chaos dungeons.
How do you
because I was rested trying to get my questing done to get to do the chaos dungeons. So I ran 3 days of chaos dungeons. The only thing I was missing after 3 days still was a weapon for my 1302 gear.
That is so odd, huh?
It was 4 runs of double loot because of the rested experience, and then 2 runs of non-double loot, and I finally got it.
Odd. Curious question. Do you do your chaos dungeon alone or in a group?
I do them in a group when I'm just burning through the aura. If I'm going through and doing chaos dungeon runs, I'll just do it by myself because I'll run level 1, level 2, and hope that I get a good portal. And if I don't get a good portal, I hop out and do it again.
Okay. Was just curious because I have now found out that as a gun lancer, man, in a group, it's so much better.
Oh yeah, I've been doing them in groups pretty consistently just because it burns through them very fast.
I did for the first time. So I did the boss rush, or I did boss rushes in a group. Wow. Like it literally takes like 7 minutes to go through the whole boss rush completely.
So many gems, so much everything.
It's so good. Then I did the cube, and I don't know what it is there with the players, but my group was ass. Like literally ass. They didn't even use heal potions.
The cube's a double-edged sword because the
what?
cube is it's a roguelike, right? Like you always have to keep that in the back of your head because you get random buffs and debuffs each level, right?
Sure.
What I've noticed people have the biggest problem with is survival. When you get hit with that unlucky survival and you have to stay alive and kill the things and not explode, because it's instant death if you would die or get hit with the explosion. That's what I've seen a lot of people have issues with in particular, is that survive mode.
Yep. So we managed to get to the last thing, but for whatever reason, my team never used potion. They always just died quite quickly then in the last few, and always hope that, well, mostly I survive because I used my potions. I was like, why the heck are you not using potions? What the heck is going on here? Like, it was a terrible experience, and I was pretty close to just do it myself again. So,
Oh yeah, I feel that, and like I said, I felt that today just doing the Flame Fox. I saw, like, again, you're watching people, and this is the simple stuff, right, guys? Should be using potions, should be using actionables to help you succeed in these raids, chaos dungeons, cubes, everything. You know, we were talking about that raid I was doing earlier. Failed multiple times. People were dying immediately because they weren't using potions. I was watching someone at, like, granted, berserkers are always at like 25% health because they run mayhem and they're doing it right. But I saw, our berserker was at 25% health, so he's doing what he needs to do as long as he survives, whatever. But then I think it was another melee class. They were at like 30 the whole time. It's like, dude, use a healing potion. If you don't have them, go back to the start, heal up, because that person died twice.
Yeah,
those reses. Like, it's.
I wonder if they don't know that they can use healing potions. Because the game is not really explaining it too well, so they have only used the standard healing potions all the time. And now they are like, wait, healing potions, what?
It's that, or they burn through them and they don't have the mats to make them or whatever. It's got to be one of the two.
How do you burn through them, please? I have never crafted a single healing potions, and I have still like 400 or something at my character because of all like the chests I got.
Oh, I know. I feel the same way. Like maybe they just don't know that they have the chest. I don't know. I don't get it. Like these things should just be able to be no problems. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I have to admit, with my striker, I did the Guardian raid, like the first one, like literally the first one, because he had already so many resting things that I was like, okay, let's do it. And well, this was my leveled up character right through the knowledge transfer. And I totally forgot that I didn't have any health potions on him. But that was
done
like
that plenty of times.
But that was like the first Guardian raid, right? It's like something entirely different than being in tier 2, doing the flame forks and be like, I don't have potions. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was like, what? Okay. But
and again, like you still have more than enough time to open a box to get the potions when you just first jump in. And as long as you have the crystalline aura, you know what I mean? But you know.
The same goes with towers. I think they're also dropping in towers sometime in the tower. I don't know. Like if you're looking for those health potions and you don't want to craft them, or you don't have the recipe yet, you find them out in the wild. So yeah. But speaking of Guardian raids, now that we are in the talk, there was another patch which came out this week. It brought multiple things to the games and changed a few things on the way here and there. But one of the new things for PvE buffs, they have a new event, which is the casual Guardian raids. Have you delved into that?
Yes, and I think that's where a lot of the problem is going to stem with these normal Guardian raids.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at it yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it basically is just taking 3 of the raid bosses. You don't know which ones they're going to be because it is based upon your level and what everyone pulls in. There are going to be 3 random raid bosses thrown in, and you're going to go kill them. Mm-hmm. It is the easiest thing ever.
Yes.
You can just smash your face on the keyboard, roll it around a few times, go, and you'll kill the bosses.
Funny fact, I had the Dark Ligoros, and he does the same thing as he does in the normal stuff. So he wasn't like anything different. So he didn't like. I think the others forget some of their mechanics, right? Like they don't really have like a lot of the I kill you mechanics. But I had Dark Ligoros, and he was exactly the same because he doesn't have any real abilities to begin with.
Other than that's the orb one, right?
No, that's the I will blind you all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's blinding you with his breath and all.
Oh, that's gotta be annoying.
It is. I hate that one. But so when I did it the first time, I didn't also not know, like, people were splitting up. People were not doing them together. They were splitting them up. Like, some people were going to certain bosses, and we were split up. We were literally split up killing the bosses. We were not doing them in a team because it was the most effective way to do it, apparently. And I have to say, I didn't like that one bit.
Again, it's super simple. I've never had a group of, unfortunately, I've split up with. We've kind of all just rolled in and did it. Kind of what you said, though, like some of them have mechanics. Like the last one I had the tree, I had Tatalos, and I think the lava turtle. None of them did any of their abilities. Like the tree never even spawned the other immune tree. Yeah, you never spawned it. But and then like I said, it's a good and bad thing because we're getting mats, right? We're getting more mats. That's what we want. That's what we need. But it's not teaching people how to play the game. Like, you literally just run in there and you can just start smacking the shit out of these things.
Yeah, I think what they should have done instead, because as I said, it brings like a lot of problems because people take those knowledge bits they're taking from those runs and bring them to the real Guardian raids, and it makes it even tougher. But what they should have done is they should have put in one boss and one alone. He does all the abilities, like all of them, but he does far less damage. And he also takes a bit more damage. But he should have kept all the abilities. So that people at least remember them. Sure, they might remember them incorrectly and think, oh, this was the ability which didn't do so much damage, I should be fine. And then they will learn that very quickly. But at least they remember the abilities, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's kind of how I am with this. Like, I feel like they shouldn't have brought 3 Guardians into it.
Yeah.
They just brought 1, kept the mechanics there, just made it a lot easier, right? So that way people could at least see those mechanics and be ready for them when they go into
Yeah, that's
the
what I
real
meant.
Guardian raids.
Yeah. So
for sure.
I'm not a fan of the event. I will be honest. Like, not for the mats. Like, for the mats, of course, it's cool, great, more stuff. But I think the event itself is not. It's not great. It's not.
And to be fair, it's not even a lot of mats. You run the event, you get 200 or 300 tokens, which is enough to buy one stack of mats.
Yeah.
At that point. The event that's going on for the racing event, I feel like, is giving more.
Absolutely. It's definitely more. I'm 100% certain it gives more. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's more fun.
Yeah. You don't really have to worry too much about if your team sucks or not.
Well, you get less tokens, but you're also getting like more tokens. Like, you also get those tokens in the normal Guardian raids and whatnot.
Yep.
So it's a bit, that event feels weird. I don't know what it is with that. Like,
well, today was like even the first day in over a week, I would say. I actually did the race because I'm actually finally running low on tokens. And I'm like, I got to get ready for next week so I can buy all the stuff next week again, because I buy everything.
Yes.
And I still have so many tokens.
I mean, it's the most rational thing to do, buying everything, because you need it anyways at some point. It doesn't get bad. So yeah. So yeah, the new event is in. It's a bit like, okay, it's nice, but not great. But one of the biggest things they have now added, I know that I will probably mostly talk to myself about this, but they have now activated PvP Season 1 and everything which is related to PvP. Let me guess, I will ask regardless, but let me guess, you haven't looked into PvP.
Haven't touched it.
Okay, cool. I knew it. It's fine. Like, a lot of people don't care for PvP. So I have been climbing the ladder, and bronze is as brutal as everybody expected it to be. So the problem is that everyone starts in bronze. Everyone, the biggest noobs, the biggest pros, they all start in bronze. And you are getting mobbed together. So team constellation is a very important thing, because everyone has to go through bronze. So when you are unlucky, you have the complete noob team on your end, and like literally the next grandmaster players on the other side of the team. It can be very frustrating.
I've played plenty of rank to understand that, especially whenever like the games are like, yeah, we're gonna reset the MMR, enjoy guys, and everyone's like,
yeah, like the problem is, and this is something the community has been, they talked about it already, only in the forum post. So if you missed the forum post, you missed that they talked about it. Like, we will talk about communication stuff in just a minute here. But people were pointing out that we got the MMR system from South Korea 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, we got like an outdated. Yeah.
It's completely outdated. They thankfully made some really, really good changes to the MMR system because, well, the old system we got was literally shit. And it is still literally shit. And I'm really wondering why they did this. And well, they explained it in the post, like, yeah, well, in Korea, it took so long because they literally looked at like the MMRs of the people and then build up new systems. Like the explanation doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like basically saying, yeah, we will not have people in different MMR brackets, so we wanted to see first where they end up. I was like, what?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like they were like, yeah, we tailored it specifically in Korea, so now we're going to do the same thing here in the US. It's going to take
years.
About 2 years.
It's weird. You could have just taken the system and people would have been fine. But yeah, climbing the ladder is tough. I think yesterday I played for 2 hours, and at the end of the day, I came out by ±0. Which is... yeah, I also changed the character in between, so that's on me. But, and this is the important part here, why this is also interesting for PvE players, you can get a lot of honing skills out of PvP. And I mean a shit ton of honing skills. You don't have to do ranked. You don't need ranked for that. You can just do your normal PvP. And then you will get like tokens. And then you will also get, and this is kind of weird. So there is your MMR system, which you're also seeing here sometimes in the background in my video. But there is the MMR system, which is for ranked PvP. And then there is your PvP rank. So you're starting at tier 1. And then it goes up limit 1, limit 2, limit, I think till limit 8, limit 9, something like that. And then the highest one is extreme. And that system is a fluent system in the way you have to, have you played World of Warcraft vanilla?
I was going to say, are you talking about vanilla grandmasters, like that grind? Because that's what it's sounding like it's going to be.
Yeah, you have to keep it up. Like you have to reach like a certain amount of PvP points every week to maintain that PvP level.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, it's like, ooh. And thankfully, the honing skills, it doesn't have to be super crazy. It doesn't have to be super crazy. If you want to get like certain mounts and certain like special PvP equipment, which looks specific on your character, then you have to maintain that. But if you want the honing mods, so you get the first one on tier 1, and then you get like 4 more. So you can actually get crazy amount of stuff per week. But, and this is kind of odd, so the calculation which PvP rank, non-ranked, you have achieved only happens once per week when the reset happens. Mm-hmm. So that means for the first week, everyone now has to wait a week before they can actually buy honing skills and whatnot with the points.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that because like, you have to be level just to get the first set of stuff.
Yeah, like tier 1, again, you can buy tier 1, but that's literally, like, I don't know, 10 pouches of stones or something like that. Nothing crazy. But if you want to unlock like all the others, it's like, yeah, you have to wait a week before you can even get the points because it only resets once a week. I get it. It's just a bit unfortunate. It's like, Also, what's super unfortunate, and Amazon hasn't explained that to us really. So when you're doing the ranked season, depending on your ranked, you would also get PvP costumes, like special costume skins for PvP players, just to show off what they have achieved.
Uh-huh.
We don't have that. It was removed. There's no explanation why we didn't get the PvP costumes. The only explanation I have is, so we have Season 1 PvP right now. And that is literally Season 1 South Korean PvP 2 years ago, if not even longer. And some of the classes didn't exist at that point, like the Sorceress.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Sorceress came in with PvP Season 7, 8, something like that. The Sorceress is one of the newest classes, right? It came out in, I think, October last year in South Korea. So it would be a little bit weird if you were playing like PvP Season 1, you're playing a Sorceress, and you wouldn't get the costume because the costume didn't exist in Season 1 because the Sorceress didn't exist. But it's still
it makes sense.
Yeah, but they never communicated that. It's like, or maybe they communicated it and I missed it. But they have never said like, hey, yeah, sorry, we removed the PvP costumes because the Sorceress and the Striker and the Gunner, and not the Gunner, what is the female Gunner equivalent? I always forget her name.
Sharpshooter? Is that the one? No.
No.
I can't remember.
I always forget her name. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with that
right now.
However, like we have multiple classes, right, which just didn't exist in the first PvP seasons. And I assume this is the reason why they're holding it back, because it would be pretty shitty for those classes not to get their end of season skins. Because every season we got new skins. So that's the only explanation.
There is one other side to that, though, right? Because the biggest thing I keep putting in the back of my mind, and I keep telling people, like, at the end of the day, they want this game to eventually catch up to everyone else. We're going to be caught up to everyone in terms of everything eventually.
Yeah.
When that happens, I have no idea. So in my mind, the reason I bring that up is you would think that those skins wouldn't matter at that point, right? Like, why couldn't they release technically the Season 4 skins as the Season 1 skins here in the US, right? Like, they technically could, because we may end up skipping some seasons.
I hope so.
We're going to end up most likely eventually, hopefully, on the same season. Might not be the same season number, but the same patch and same everything as Korea.
Yes.
Right? So, again, I don't see why they couldn't just bring the skins from a different season in at that point, because we're not going to stay 2 years behind these people at all times.
Exactly.
Unless the game just completely fails.
I hope not. Which brings us to the next topic, which would be better understandable for all of us if they would communicate. But, well, communication has been pretty ass in the last few weeks. They did publish a letter, I think 1.5 weeks ago. They published a letter where they basically said, sorry for us not fully communicating the issues, especially with the AGS patch and people falling behind, yada, yada, yada. So they explained how this led to. And the good news is that Smilegate, or people from Smilegate, are here right now at the Amazon Game Studios. Not anymore, but they were. And that after we talk to them and get a better idea of what we are looking for, and also told them the changes we want, because they want to change their roadmap, right? That we have a better idea of what we are looking at. That was 1.5 weeks ago, and we heard nothing. No new information regarding that. Nothing which was talked about to Smilegate. By the way, folks out there, if you find a roadmap, please send that at Amazon Game Studios in the USA, because apparently they lost it somewhere and now it's gone. Again, if you find a roadmap on the street, please send it back. They need it desperately. It's just weird. Like, communication, I have to say, has been bad.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
It's been, I mean, okay, we'll put it this way. It's been better than New World. in terms of how Amazon's communication has been.
True.
But like, it's funny because we talked about this on the last podcast about when do we think they were going to publish the roadmap, and I was like, I think in this week they're going to make some sort of announcement and say they were looking at the numbers, they were doing this, and we're not going to see it. It was exactly what they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling that's what they were going to do. They were going to see what numbers they were at and then try and adjust. And I still feel like we're kind of like that, while we're not necessarily quote unquote seeing the roadmap. They're still being very proactive with feedback, right? Like, unfortunately, while we don't like this new event, this like you and me don't like this
the
casual
gameplay.
Guardian raid. They put it in because people were they needed more honing mats. People were asking for it. So that's what they did, right? So they are at least listening and trying to rectify, right? We'll see how far that's really going to go in like the next month, right? Because really, this game's been out now for a little over a month.
2 months.
We'll see how they keep going now.
2 months. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I'm agreeing with you. It's still like, it's kind of weird. Like, also how they communicate stuff, I'm not very happy with it. Like, again, the whole thing with PvP, where they were explaining why we are getting the old ranking system 2 years from South Korea. There was a forum post.
Yeah, it wasn't posted anywhere else.
Somewhere buried underneath posts, and they have never communicated it outside the forum. And it's like, why not? You have a Twitter.
Yep.
Like, just put a tweet out. Hey, this is the newest message for all our PvP players regarding the ranked system from our community manager, Rocks, in the official forum. Here's the link. Have a look, please. And it would be like, sure, that doesn't necessarily mean that people like what they said, but at least they had the information at their hands, right? Like, it's like, it's so weird.
And it's not like they don't do that already. Like, that's how they normally post a lot of their Twitter posts to begin with. It's like, hey, here's what we did with Argus. We're sorry. Yeah. Here's the forum post.
Yeah, it's so odd. Like, as someone who has worked as a community manager and who has also worked as a community manager at MMOs, it's not how I would do it, and I think they're not doing a greatest job. We might talk about that in just a few minutes, what the reason for that could be. But yeah, I'm hoping now. I'm really, really hoping. I'm holding my breath that now that they have published the last thing of the Argus patch, which was PvP Season 1, that we would actually next week maybe getting a roadmap, or maybe they are doing something else. Maybe they have completely given up on the roadmap. We will never see that thing again because they, as you already said, realize that they have to be much more proactive when it comes to problems.
It's a moving target. It absolutely is right now. Like, how many times with these patches, when you think about it, how many times have they reverted something or nerfed something?
Added something or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, in all honesty, like, I agree with you. I don't think we're necessarily going to probably even see a roadmap at this point. The target is moving so consistently that I don't think they're comfortable yet with even where they're at. They don't know, like, from the beginning, they said they were either going to speed it up or slow it down based upon what they thought. And I still feel like they haven't figured out where people are at yet.
Yeah. Especially with the classes, I think that surprised them the most, which is a bit frightening, not gonna lie, that they believe that classes are not as important and they could take like a year to release the classes here in the West. I was like, wait, what? What? Like, such a bizarre thing to think. But at least they're reacting, right? They're not sticking to it, even though the community has made it very clear that is a bad idea. So yeah, they're at least listening, which is not the case in New World. And wow. Where that got them, you just have to look at the Steam charts. I think over the weekend they managed, what was it, 25,000 active players worldwide.
On a server that holds 2,000 on average. Those servers are they gotta be dead.
No, yeah, it's all the game, right? Like Europe, US, like you can only play New World through Steam, and only 25,000 people are playing it on Steam. That is not a good sign for anything. But which brings us, and I think we have to intertwine that a little bit when we are talking about communication and things are happening in the world of Amazon Game Studios. So if you have missed it, because, well, as always, Amazon has not really clearly communicated that. We had to find it out through Bloomberg. And the head of the Amazon Game Studios, like the boss of the boss, like the highest rank you can get in that studio, left. Or, well, as he put it, he wants to take more time with his family, right? Which is always the cue for I probably got fired. Every time I see that, yeah, I now want to take more time with my family, and they don't have like health issues, right? But every time it's like I got told to maybe leave, and so that person left, and man. So the guy in charge had nothing to do with games. He was actually in charge of Amazon, the books. Like he literally was taking care of the book stuff at Amazon. And then he got moved to Amazon Game Studios. And he was spearheading that. But he had no clue about gaming. He also didn't seem to care really much. And he wanted to do everything Amazon's way, and nothing which was established over the decades in the gaming industry. And a lot of people warned him, and nobody listened. There was also the usual Amazon studios with how they treated their workers. But the biggest problem was apparently the hierarchy, when people were like people with decades of experience in developing and shipping games telling that person, we cannot do this will not work, this is not how video game development works. His answer was, bitch, what do I care? And that led apparently to a lot of problems. Like, I mean, so for everyone who didn't know that, Amazon Game Studios has a very troubled history when it comes to video games. The first video game, I always forget its name, did go
Crucible.
into... No.
Was it Crucible?
No.
Oh, no, it was something else.
The first one was... it was the Smite meets Rocket League meets Fortnite meets gambling. And if you think, what? Yeah.
I'm already like, what?
I always forget. Breakout? Breakout? No. It wasn't Breakout. No. Breakaway. Breakaway?
That sounds familiar.
I think Breakaway was its name. It was... I played the beta. Holy shit, it was bad. Like, it wasn't even a game. Like, as I said, it was all those games I just mentioned, but they all played for themselves. And it did go into beta, then it did go into open beta, then it did go back into closed beta, and then they stopped developing it. And then there was, as you said, Crucible. And Crucible was the first game ever in my decades of playing video games and working in the gaming industry I have ever seen a game being officially 1.0 released just for 2 weeks later go back into closed beta and then get cancelled.
Yup. I've never seen that in my life. Like, I've seen games be abandoned after a few weeks of whatever, but never. Oh yeah, we're gonna go
unrelease
back and we're gonna go back and try and make this better. We'll see you guys in like a couple weeks. Oh, nope, we're done. Sorry. I mean, at least Anthem, they let us, they string us, they put a worm on a hook for about a year or so before they said, we're not doing it.
Yeah, it's like, I have never seen a game being unreleased. Never. In my 25 years of playing video games, I have, no. Crazy, absolutely crazy. And then they did New World, and well, that at least, thanks to a lot of marketing power they have, was doing pretty well at the beginning. And people were also looking for an MMO. They wanted an MMO. It was the time of releasing an MMO, and Amazon botched that.
Yup.
They made so many bad decisions. They didn't listen to the community. They apparently also didn't listen to their developers, which is not a good sign when even the developers are like, sorry, I would like to make the game better, but I'm not allowed to because nobody is listening to me. That's not good. So, and it's kind of crazy when you look at Lost Ark, to pivot it back to this. We see a lot of mistakes. They're doing them again in Lost Ark. Like communication, meh. At least the servers, they got that covered this time. But bot issues, tons of bots.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm actually in Pride Home right now showing how bad it still is.
They said they put some measures into place to make it better against bots. Have you noticed anything of that? Nope. Really?
So, I mean, I'm literally walking around Pride Home right now, guys. This is your starting zone, and I'm pointing out the bots jumping around, still teleporting. Like, it doesn't seem nearly as much, but they're still there, right? Because what they implemented was basically, if you're a trusted Steam account, you unlock all these additional features. But if you're not a trusted Steam account, you could still make characters in the game, but you lose access to features. What features these are, I don't know. They didn't really specify. But apparently, whatever they did disable isn't enough because, like, I just saw two just run right by me.
I mean,
there's a guy teleporting multiple hundred times. Like, it's ridiculous.
Here's the thing. It really depends on what they deactivated, because that we have bots in the game is first and foremost not a problem. Even if we have thousands of bots in the game, it isn't a problem as long as they cannot take control of the economy.
Correct.
That's the point, right? So I heard some people, at least when the new patch came out with the big changes, that the price tags in the auction house did go up. Like, things actually did got more expensive because the economy was recovering. I don't know if it's still that case. I'm not too deep into the auction house in Lost Ark.
I can give you a quick idea here. Once this loads, I'll see if see what shards are going for.
I mean, there is I think content creator Saivo has actually posted like an Excel sheet where he was always putting in how much the shards cost per day. Like, he has actually like a really good Excel sheet. Let me see if I can actually send you this. I know this.
So
just
the market has absolutely crashed from what I'm seeing in terms of these shards. Because like I was selling life shard pouches like 2 weeks ago for almost like 900 to 1200 gold a spot.
Yeah, here's the I have the Excel sheet open right now. This is for EU Central,
which is still probably very similar though, because yeah,
it did go up. It did go up percentage wise.
Yeah, ours is currently. So for basically give you an idea, guys, 2 weeks ago, I sold a Life Shard pouch large. I sold like 4 of them for 1,200 gold each. Right now, they're selling for 400 each.
Yeah. Like, apparently, like, the powder of Sage did go up by 93%. like Destruction Stone did go up by 49%. What is the highest one? Oh no, it's the Powder of Sage, which did go up by 93%. So it does go up. So definitely does recover, which is good. I hope it stays that way. So that's good. All right. But yeah, going back, so before we are moving too far from it, so they now made the person leave who was responsible for the Amazon Game Studios. And I'm really hope that whoever is coming in next is doing better than that. Like if we heard about internal issues and that it was mostly that dude who was the last person to have the say on anything. And he was always like, I don't like this. Nah, we are not doing this. Nah, let's not do that. Nah, I don't. Especially, I wonder how Smilegate feels about this. Like, I would love to know if they are happy with how Amazon is handling Lost Ark right now, especially when it comes to communication.
I can't imagine it being horrible. Like right now, like we got to remember the game's not in a broken state. The communication, yeah, while it could be better, like let's be real, what communication did we ever have with World of Warcraft? Right?
But that was, come on, don't compare that. That was like 20 years ago. Don't do that. Like now the World of Warcraft team is actually back then too. Yeah, but like things have changed in 20 years. Don't compare that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, I mean, they weren't like here's the thing, which is so weird. They were clearly telling us, hey folks, like Smilegate is just in the office. We have Smilegate people right in the office. Like if you have worked in an international company and you had actually like the leading figures coming from a different company on the different end of the world just to talk to you, that's normally not a good sign, let me tell you that. Because most of the stuff nowadays you can just clear up on, I don't know, whatever you were using, Teams or Skype. Yes, companies are still using Skype. I know it's laughable. But it's just, man, they actually actively came over to the US to stay there for, 2 weeks to talk to Amazon Game Studios?
Sound like they needed some major
guidance.
Yeah.
Guidance. Yeah. Remind them again what's going on. But yeah, it's just and again they had them over and they didn't tell us any results. Like you would have expected when they had this 2 weeks thing going on and they were first telling us about it. Like, hey folks, we are talking to Smilegate right now. And that has been a week ago and we still didn't know what happened. Again, that's normally not a good sign. It's probably not a good sign. Like I'm hoping they're recovering. Like just give us communications.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, let me ask you something. I want your guidance on that one. Now that we are done with season 1 and stuff, what do you expect or what do you know to come next? Do you have any feeling?
I mean, the only thing at this point, because again, I don't spoil myself with what we have in the other regions and stuff yet, but at this point, because of how the communication is, and even with the communication we got, like the only thing I can quote unquote expect is these the new classes, right? And even then, we haven't really gotten much information on that either. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah,
I think that was my point. I was trying to lead you in, well, not lead you in, because I hate to do that. I'm not leading people. But that is exactly what I'm also thinking. Like, I know what's going on in South Korea. And this is the unbelievable part. Because I'm keeping up with shit happening in South Korea, I kind of know what's going on in the West. Without that, I wouldn't know. I would sit here right now and think, okay, the game is done. We are done, right? We got AGS, we got PvP Season 1, we got all those events. We are done, right? Like, speaking about communication here, it's like, especially also PvP, keep in mind, 80% of the player base, if not even more, of Lost Ark just doesn't give a damn about PvP. Like, we are in the minority, which is unfortunate because the PvP of Lost Ark is actually really good, but that is the reality. So we had now a week with barely anything new, besides of a quick event to give us more resources, some changes here and there, but there was no communications about what's next. So especially for PvE players, you have been now sitting for a week here and asking yourself, okay, what's next? What am I doing now?
Like, yeah, and to be fair, you do run into that with almost pretty much every game. And like, what next is, I don't know. I personally, I can't complain too much because they are bringing, like, for example, we got that Grand Prix event, right? It's only 2 weeks old. It's still something to keep the game so-called fresh, right? Because that's something else to do outside of the normal rigmarole that we normally have, right? So
I totally. But again, like, the problem is, and this is why I'm thinking, like, some people might say, yeah, he is right. Like, Mole, what more do you need? We have so much to do. Like, we are already overrun with some events. I get that. But keep in mind, I'm trying to work here with Amazon's own pace. They wanted to do it quick. They wanted to push, like, all the features which we are still missing and which are already active in South Korea or here in the West, as quickly as possible. They want to go through this as a sprint and not as a marathon. So I'm just trying to keep up with the process. And again, just having some communication is all I like. It doesn't even have to be like crazy new information. I know that studios are always a little bit reluctant when it comes to giving us time frames, right? Because time frames change, as we have seen with the classes, right? Like, hey, we will release the classes in a year period, and now they are like, actually, we will be quicker, right? I get it, but yeah, I'm hoping just some information about what is going through their heads right now. That's something I would love to see.
Absolutely.
That's basically all.
Give us something to get so we can prepare, right?
Yeah, I mean, Argus, I think they admitted it with Argus, right? There was like a bad idea that they said, hey folks, next week it's Argus time. And people were like, wait, what? What do you mean by next week is Argus time? Yeah, next week is Argus time.
Everyone's like, okay.
And they said it themselves afterwards, hey folks, we might not want to do that again because, well, we screwed that pretty much up and we did overrun a lot of people with more content and we are pretty sorry about this. So we want to give you more time to prepare for the next time. And now it's like, okay, where's that information? Like, what's next? When is next? Like, do we talk about in 2 months? Do we talk about 2 weeks? Will you put out a blog post and then next downtime, we are already getting new content? Are we doing that again? Right? It's all about communications. It always leads back to that.
Absolutely.
So I'm really hoping, I think, to wrap this up, if you don't have anything to add, but what I'm hoping, more communications, maybe, just maybe, we're hearing something from the roadmap this week. Okay, let me ask you something. Give me a percentage number on how high the chance is if we see a roadmap this week or not.
Give me one moment. Let's see how they've been on their Twitter recently.
Let me ask
I gotta
Google.
analyze this.
Oh, come on, just give me a thought.
So, in all honesty, I would barely. I want to put like 25%.
Oh wow, that low?
I don't think we're gonna see a. I personally don't think we're going to see a roadmap until maybe sometime first or second week in April. It's kind of what I'll call it.
Oh, wow.
Because the main reason I say that is because, again, we're still sitting at a point where I think Amazon's still trying to figure out, okay, how's season 1 looking? Because we're only in 1 week of season 1. How's everyone's PvP looking? And how has everyone made progression with the new casual event? Like, are people actually getting to where they can for Argus, and kind of go from there? I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 2 to 3 weeks before we see any concrete plans.
Yeah, I don't think that we will hear anything about PvP. They pretty much made it sound like as if they would just let the season run. They would not make any changes to it. And then they're already planning changes for season 2. So for the next 6 months, I think we would just keep what we are having right now. They made it sound like it. So I don't think that the PvP will actually take up any spot on the roadmap at all.
I don't think it will change or take a spot up in the roadmap, but I think that they'll look at it as a way of how are people utilizing the resources they're getting from it. Because right now that's their quote unquote biggest hurdle is their pay to win, like people feeling like they have to pay to get to the end content. Right. And that was like their biggest apology for what they did over the week. So I feel like once they have an idea on how people are with their honing materials and so on, then maybe we'll see something at that point. But I'm not expecting it.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, again, I'm not sure if we will see a roadmap. The thing is just I have definitely reached a point where I don't know what they would talk about next. Like maybe the classes. So my guess, we will not get a roadmap, but what we will get is a new blog post about classes and purely classes, as you have mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Right. That they literally will just tell us, hey folks, we've talked to Smilegate. We have changed our internal roadmap, so to speak, and we want to cover classes now much more extensively. And we are happy to announce that in April, we are getting the Destroyer and the Arcanist, and maybe even a surprise third class, because they are speeding up to bring classes here to the West. That's what I'm expecting to see.
Exactly.
But with that said, I think we came to the end of the show. If you don't have anything else to add.
I'm all set. I'm ready to get back to grinding and hopefully get my alts into T2 and make some progression in T3.
Awesome. I'm just seeing, because we are having a video running in the background, the absolute wash that specific PvP arena was. I have never seen a Deathblade doing anything like what that Deathblade did. Like, holy shit. She could have taken us 1 versus 3. It was a complete wash. Oh, this pains me again to see. So I would say we are moving on from this episode. And yeah, we will be back, hopefully with some very positive notes next week on Sunday at 4 p.m. ET. And then we will be back with another Lost Ark Founders Ark podcast. But before we leave, Mr. Beaver, tell us where we find you and what you are doing.
You can find me on the Twitters, Beaver Live. You'll see when I post. I go live on all the platforms. Facebook. They're pissing me off recently.
There's a link also in the description of his Twitter and all that.
Yeah, that too. And you can feel free to visit me during the week while I'm streaming, weeknights, during the weekends. We stream a lot of Lost Ark, and we've been doing recently a lot of Tiny Tina's too. I'm really enjoying that.
Ah, man, I really have to check it out probably at some point. I heard so much good things. I've played Ghostwire Tokyo this week.
I've heard mixed things about that. Some people have said it's like great to pay $70 for a beta.
It's not just that. It's so many things. But yeah, awesome. If you, by the way, folks, if you want to join me, also don't forget, please, to like and subscribe to this channel if you want to get more Founders Ark podcast episode, which apparently you do, because the numbers have been pretty good for the podcast. So apparently it seems like people love a Lost Ark podcast. But yeah, for all the people who haven't done it yet, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. If you ever want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m., not 8 a.m., 9 a.m. ET, which is 2 p.m. UK time and 3 p.m. Central European time, also over at trovo.live/ChaosMole, where we are talking about the hottest gaming news in the morning, watching some trailers, and then we are playing also the biggest and brightest new video games, and check them out tomorrow on Monday. For all my regular folks watching, we have a special event going on. We are checking out Midnight Ghost Hunters, and
Love that game.
The beta is happening tomorrow, and we will stream that, and we will do this together with another streamer called Captain E-Rock. And
I hope you guys have fun.
Yeah, we will go on some ghost hunting. I'm looking forward to that.
It's so good. I've been playing well since they announced it in 2019.
I have been playing the beta, yeah. The other closed beta. Unfortunately, it's under NDA, so
yep.
I was not allowed to talk about it.
It's been completely under NDA since then. It's very fun, guys. I'm excited to see that. I'm actually surprised that game is launching.
Yeah.
That's like
early access.
I didn't think it was gonna make it because it's been in it's been 3 years since it originally got announced.
Yeah. It's early access though, so it's not the full release. But yeah, we will check out the beta, which is open to everyone, starting tomorrow, and that runs till Wednesday, and then on Thursday is early access release. So if you are still on the fence on that game, check it out, or stop by on the stream and say hello and check it out for yourself. But with that said, folks, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week with more Lost Ark. And with that said, have a good one. Bye. Bye-bye. Boop.
See ya, folks.